Welcome everybody to Decisions Lunch and Learn. I'll be your host, Jared. I'm on the training team, and if you haven't uh, known, we have a couple of other places where you can get content. One's the Decision Support channel. We upload videos weekly every Friday over various aspects of the Decisions application on how to refreshing dashboards, on other practical things. So please take a look at that. There's the QR code that will take you directly to that. The other thing we also have is on the bottom, there's another QR code that will take you to the Solutions Marketplace, where we have pre-built applications that you can download and learn how to use from that location. So you can see a documentation all about that. So if you think that one of those pre-built My Apps applications would help you, then go right ahead and navigate to that URL as well. Cool. Alrighty. With that preamble, I haven't gotten any pre-subs, so if any of you guys have any questions, feel free to put it in the Zoom chat or raise your hand to come off mute. All right, I saw Alex, so we're gonna go Alex and then Radley. How's it going, Alex? How can I help you?
Well, thanks. Is this Jared?
This is Jared, the one and
Okay.
only.
Okay, great. So I was on yesterday to get resolution over an issue that I'm having, and the suggestion that was given didn't work, and I just wanted some kind of clarification on it. So basically, what's
Sure.
going on is I have a flow extension data type,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to fetch a list of them that are at a specific state. So in a report, this seems easy
Mm-hmm.
because like it has an entity like in the fields filter, the state shows up, but
Mm-hmm.
in the fetch entities thing, the state does not show up.
Sure.
So the gentleman yesterday showed me that I should be able to do this by basically specifying the folder type as the type that I want to fetch, and then in the extension data specify my flow extension type. But my flow extension doesn't show up in the search. It only shows entities, and I was wondering if there was kind of something
Mm.
that I'm missing here.
No, I think that's expected. So let's we can play around with this so you can kind of see that. Because I think that one just shows let's see, test getting state. So how we do this? Sure, let's just create this. So I'm going to create a flow execution extension since that's what you have. User defined. Ooh, excuse me. Let's say user defined types. We go flowy. There we go.
All right.
That's what I wanted the name to be, but obviously no one liked that name. So unfortunately, flowy was not the name for flow execution extensions. But I digress. All right. So I'm going to create I'm going to rename this folder and we'll say this, flowy data. And then we're going to go into the flows. We're going to create a new flow. And I'm going to say this is generate. What is it? Generate. I don't know. Fetch a flowies by, I don't know. I need to create some. That's what I was doing. Generate flowies. And then what we'll do is I shall use, was it setup process folder. Boom, parent, recent, flowy data. And then we're gonna go to the, was it extension data? Yeah, that's what we want. And I got flowy, and I build data on flowy. And we'll make this merge plain text, and we're just gonna make this just a random name. Oh, but I need a set state. All right, we will do this. Uh, let's see, start time. Let's just use the start time because that'll be dynamic. Start time. This will be formatting. We shall do, what is it? I need date time. Hold the phone. Come on. Start time. Cool. All right, we got start time. That's gonna be the name of it, and we'll say that this is a test. All right, and sure, we'll create some data. Who cares? Test one, and we'll say this is test two, and then I think I can debug this. So I'm gonna debug this, and then we'll run it again, and again, and again, and then what I'll do is let's have a set state step, so I have things in different states. I will say this is the in progress state. And then I debug this, and then we run it again, and we run it again, And remember it again. All right, cool. So now I have your setup. So now let's say, let's go to my flowy data. I'm actually gonna go back here, but I'm gonna create another tab. And we'll go back into test getting state, flowy data. All right, so now I got some records, obviously at different times. I have a couple in the started state, and I think I should have one in the in progress state, right? Boom, perfect. All right, so how do I fetch it? So a couple ways. Create a new flow. I'll say this is fetch by state. And I think I know the problem you're coming to, right? So let's say you're doing this, right? We
Yep.
have this, fetch entities, right? We go to results. And I'm assuming you type folder, right? And
Yep.
then when you go to extension data type, it does not find it, right?
Right.
Let's say, yep. Okay, that makes sense. So what we can do here is you can, because I think what's you want, trying to think of what's the best way to get this, because what they're trying to, I'm pretty sure the goal of yesterday, I think the comment was the state is tied to the folder. So there's a couple of ways you can just get that specific object. What you have to do though is if you fetch the folder type, then what you can do is filter by this thing called the entity folder ID. That basically is the ID of where the thing lives. And in this case, because I presume you store it in a specific location, it could be dynamic if you're trying to get it dynamic as well. And if I fetch this, get the folder ID, copy the text, fetch by state, and then what you'll see here is once I copy this, and then I debug, right, I'm getting all of those flowy records. How I know that? Because, right, boom, it says that this is the workflow item, right? So I know I'm getting just that specific stuff. And I have the state of it, right? So it started. Now it's started. Where is it? Started. And it is, where's the other one? Let's go all the way down. There's a couple in progress. Boom, right?
Yep.
So now that I'm fetching by the folder, I can just say I want to get the specific states of it. So now I can say, all right, let's go ahead, add another one. And let's say I want all the ones that exist in that folder, but that I can grab. I just type state right here. Do I have to find it? I guess I have to find it. And then I can say in progress because the state field is tied to the folder. I think I spelled it this way. We'll find out shortly. I'm going to attach this. Hey, I got some results. Boom. And now you got the records that are tied to that specific state right there. And so that's how, I think that's what the goal was yesterday. It was like, you just have to fetch the folder state and then filter by the entity folder ID and then the state, and then you can grab records by that state. The reason why the other one doesn't work is because this one specifically is used for case entities. So if I create a case entity, I can add the extension data, and then when I fetch it, it will fetch with that. But since the flow execution extension is a process data, meaning that it kind of just captures the flow execution, no pun intended, and that's why you have to fetch it by the folder state, and you can't add it as the extension type there.
Okay, but now all I have is folder data. I don't have my type data.
You don't have your type data. So let's go ahead.
If you look at this, like if you create a report and go and get your flowies,
Yep,
like there's a filter that allows you to filter by state. Like
correct.
so at the report level, it seems to be aware that there are two different types and it knows how to put them together, but at the flow
Correct.
level, that doesn't seem to be the case.
Well, correct. Yes. So basically what happens is with the run report step, it does a join query and when you grab the flow execution extension, it will join those two tables, the folder table, the decisions folder table, and then the flow execution table. And so that's why I can display that in the report, but not in the flow right here.
Yeah, so the weird thing that I find about that is that it doesn't actually like I have some reports where I actually have to create a table relationship and then you can add the base table and then the table relationship and that all makes sense. But in the actual reporting module out of the box, if you enter the flow data extension type, it doesn't show that it's linking to another object. It just does it.
Sure. Yes, that is true.
Okay. Okay, so it's okay. I guess it's like my thinking is just that this is easy in the report module. it should be easy in the flow module. And I guess that's the disconnect.
Yeah,
'Cause it,
well, and that's kind of the difference between it, right? Because this just is a generic select from where, and it just select from where's that specific data set. And the run report, it does that inner join in the back end for you, and so you can display all that information, right?
okay,
Like,
so the options, my options are if I want like a way to get both the type data and the state data,
mhm.
I have to use the run report step,
Yeah, you can,
or
yeah.
I can actually build my own query
Hmm.
and add that at the integration level, and then basically just run like a query, like a run query step kind of thing.
Yeah, that would work as well. Those are two viable options, correct?
And but barring that, then I would need to basically get the folder ID from this thing, get all the folders that have this thing, and if I actually want to have a list of my stuff, then I'd have to kind of build it myself.
Well, can we, so I don't have the context. What's the end goal that you're trying to build? Because it will clarify like my suggestions if I know like what's the end goal here.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, so I'm not actually clear on what the end goal is, but I do know that I want to basically have a list. I want to have a list of all of my types that are at a certain state, so that I can display some component of that type in a drop-down list for people to be able to select from.
Oh, okay. I got you. I see. Okay. So what we can do here then is I think, can I do flow data extensions? There's also some steps here.
Yeah, there's like a fetch all.
Yeah. And I don't know if that really gets that one doesn't grab the state, I don't think. Let's test it out. Come on. All right, cool. List of flowies. Let's go ahead and run it. Which I don't think it should have the state attached to it. That's kind of my surmise. Yeah, I didn't think it would. It just has that stuff.
Right.
Let's see, extension ID. So yeah, so you'd have to if you want to only do things by a certain state. So yeah, we can run a query. I could build that real quick if you want to see what that query looks like. Or
No, like I don't. I wouldn't. I would be able to put the query together without too much difficulty.
okay,
So yeah. So it seems like either the run report or the query are the two things that would be able to return a list of my types, including the state or by state.
yep, correct. And on the
Okay.
run report step, there's some really cool. I think you can output a type on it when you use it. I can show you
Oh,
that. So,
that'd be cool.
yeah, so because obviously, right, when you do the run report step, run report. Let's see, this here, data rows. I think you could say select type. There we go, boom, and I can say flow data extensions flowy, and then let's pick or create. Or do I have to pick the converter? Let's see, pick or create report. Test. No, that's not what I want. Create new. This is going to be test flowy report. So because I think let's see if this yields help. Any name, and I grab state. Do I have to converter?
But if you're gonna output it as
I
a
don't want
type,
to do that.
would you not need some of the data from the type?
Would I not need some of the? This is the data from the type. I mean, I could if I wanted to. I can add
Well,
the
the two
the
pieces
test
of
ones.
type data are test one and test two. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, I could grab that. But still, I think I have to run a converter, which I don't really have to run a converter for that. Well, the other way you can do it is if you want to get some stuff and you want to run it from report, you can report access. And I think is it results? There's one. Let's click on this. And you can call and you can just call this it'll generate a type that's just a flow structure that outputs this so that regardless of if someone changes the column order, then it won't
Right.
mess with the data, right? So that's why this
Right.
is a nice way to do that. So you can say this is my folder flowy FS because I think that's what it generates. And so now if I save this,
Now you can run a step called folder flow EFS.
Yeah, or I think what this does is now, I haven't used this in so long. I forgot. Pick report source. I already got that one. Select type, recents, and I think I said it was a report folder. Folder, yeah, flow EFS. Boom, there we go. And it gets a list of those. And then you can see the state of it right there. Started test 1, test 2,
Right,
and the
gotcha.
data information. Yep.
Okay, cool. That's where I want to get to. Yep.
Sweet. Awesome.
Perfect. Appreciate that.
My pleasure. Oops. Let's see. Radley, I'm gonna allow you to talk.
Hey, Jared. So I have a report data source flow,
Mhm.
and in that flow, I have a raw SQL step where I'm querying an external database, and that query runs fine, and it outputs, a list of dynamic data rows. When I build my report on that report data source, my only column options are file type and row. Am I doing something wrong?
You're doing a flow source report. Is that what you said?
Um, what's it called that I get the words all mixed up? Report data source flow.
Report. Yeah. Yeah, so basically you're creating a flow that sources information, right?
Right. Yep.
Is this gonna have a lot of records to it?
Um, a lot. I like hundreds, right? Not even thousands.
Hundreds and even thousands? Okay. So if basically how the flow source, let's just create one. So like if I have let's say, create a flow, let me go to advanced, and I think it's like a report, what do you call it? Report data source flow, right?
Yes.
So this is test the report data source flow stuff. So basically whatever you output is what will be the fields that you can utilize. So if you're not outputting those fields, then you won't be able to select those as a data field. So let's say I have, I'm just going to create a list of data. Create data, and we'll just set this as a constant, right? And this is going to be name. This is going to be age, and we'll say this is the DOB, right? We'll go to date time. We'll go to integer, and we'll say this is, I don't know, 10. Oops, 10. And we'll say this is Jared. And I'm sure we'll say I'm born today, even though I'm 10 years old, so it won't make any sense. But, and then whatever I output here, oops, age GOB name. Oh my gosh, it's moving down. Age GOB name, and then I just take in that information. Perfect. Does it not like it? Oh, I think I have to make this a list, don't I? Let me make this a list. I know what I got to do. Because I think that's why it doesn't like it. So let me do this. Let me create like a flow structure real quick. Where's my user defined types? Flow structure, FS, FS1, FS2. And then let's say in my report data source flow, I now have a list of these things, right? So I have FS. No, this is my FS, but it's a FS list, right? And then I'm going to, sure, we can add some data, 1 and 2. And then I add, this is 3 and 4. And then let me add one more. We got 5 and 6. So if you output on the report data flow as a list, then you'll get it to appear, right? And if I just output that list here, right, then it's gonna like it. I can't output individual items. But if I output a list of that object, then when I go to my report, let's say test report data source report, report. And then if I go to, I think it's like, what was it, flow source? I think you might have to like, we have to test report data source flow. I think we have to like, yeah, you have to find the name of it. And then if I do columns FS1, FS2, then you can see, the data there. So that's how they work. You have to output a list at the end step, and then you have to find the name of the flow and the data sources, and that will display it.
Right. So I'm outputting a list of dynamic data rows.
A list of dynamic data rows.
Right, because that's the output from the raw SQL step.
Why so you'll need to create, because dynamic data rows, I don't think you can output that data type to it. I think that's your issue, right? Because if I do that, let's just create another one. Because dynamic data rows, basically what that is, that's the type decisions uses when it's not sure what data it's gonna get. So it's more of like an intermediary. So if you want to use that,
So
go ahead.
the documentation for the report data source flow is use this behavior to report data that is not already in a defined structure or table. For example, when there's a need to run a custom SQL query and report on the results. To me, that implies I don't need to have a data type.
Well, let's run it. Let's test it. So I'm gonna create another one. And you're outputting it as a list, right?
Yes.
Source flow 2. Let's see. I'm just gonna run a generic report. Probably run my flowies since I have it. Test flowy. All right, cool. So then this is gonna be dynamic data rows report. Okay. And then we'll run it. Guess you can do it. That's good. Okay. So we'll remove this one. I think I called it report data source thing. Okay, 2. And then file type, file row.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I expected. So where's that document? Because that document needs to be updated because that's not, because the dynamic data row is used for like file data types, right? But if there's data that you have that doesn't need to be stored, that's why you use a flow structure, right? A flow structure is not stored by default. So if there's just temporary data that you want to use, you want to display here, then you could do it that way. Or you're saying you're running a query and you want to.
Yeah, and I've done the dummy data structure that holds no data. But when I found this is the first time I've had to build a report based off of a SQL query, I found this. I was like, well, maybe I'm been doing this wrong the whole time. So you're saying that for any data that you're not storing, even though you're reporting on it, it still has to have a data structure so you know how to structure the data for the report.
If you do it in that paradigm, right, you're trying to use the flow designer when you don't have to. So on my screen here, there's a raw data source. So if there's a query you're executing that you want to display fields, you can pick your connection string or use the current connection, and then you can add the specific fields that are in that data table. And then you could display it that way, right? So that would be the best way to do that, is just use the raw data source and then change your connection type if you have a different connection string other than the one that you have, or if you use an external database, you can check this box and then type in the query. And I'm wondering, let me test this out. Use current connection. I don't know. It may. Let's see. Go back to it. Didn't report. I didn't use it. Use current connection. Okay, cool. And I'm wondering, I think select asterisk from entity underscore account. And I'm wondering, do I have to label it or will it appear? Okay, I think then you have to then put in the fields. And then you can add it here and then it displays it. Okay, so that's the full setup of it. Yeah.
Raw data source. Yeah, see when I do raw data source, it's making me pick a database type.
Pick a database type. Are you doing?
Yeah, so I select the raw data source like you did.
Are you using external table or current connection or?
Yeah, see, so by default, I have use current connection database type, which is a drop down.
Yep, I have that too.
But between those two checkboxes, did I miss something?
So raw data source. So I can make sure you're doing raw data source and not the raw Oracle one.
Yep. Doing raw
Okay,
data
cool.
source.
Awesome. Unless you need that one for whatever
I
reason.
don't.
Okay, cool. So I go raw. Sounds like it's like WWE.
Okay.
Raw.
Cool. So that's
Right.
where we are.
Yep. And so all I did is I just typed in the query. I said, because I was querying an internal decision table, I used my current connection. Or you can, if you have to define what other, if you're using an external database, let me see if I can create one real quick. So we can see what that looks like. Because I presume you created,
I did, yes.
let's see, do I have one? Do I have any in my thing? Hold on, let me check my SSMS. All right, let's go. Nope. Localhost. And hopefully I can remember this password. I don't remember this password. Yay, I did remember the password. Okay, cool. I'm gonna create on the off screen, I'm just creating a new database and I'm just gonna fill it or with whatever. So this is going to be school. Oh, but then I gotta run all the insert queries. I don't want to run all that. Insert query. Yeah, I know. Wait, no, I need to create, what is it? Create table. Script database table, create. I think I messed this up. I need to use the create table because I don't have values for this table. Oh, but I could make it. Hold on. Tables. That's not what I want. Tables, diagrams, view, storage. I know. I can do. There's no. Don't we have Robert? Don't we have this on release notes test where we have connected to the integration already?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
it's release
perfect.
test is live.
Sweet. I'm going to do that here because I already have data. Come on. And then I can kind of show you what that looks like with this setup. Okay, cool. It just doesn't want us to log in. That's fine. Cool.
It's training. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I was just hoping it wasn't that really long, annoying.
I'll send it to you in the Zoom chat.
No, I got it right now. Don't worry about
Okay.
that. I already
Okay,
have
cool.
it. But thanks though. Where's container? And we got this page down. We're gonna grab this.
You know what, Jared? I think I may have figured it out. It's a little kludgy, but you have to kind of fill stuff in. And then you fill in the return fields, and then you save it, and then you can pick your external database. Like I couldn't pick the external database that I wanted until I saved the report.
Oh, really? What version are you on?
Yeah.
Because I think that's a bug.
8.17.
That sounds like a bug to me. Well, let me see if I can. I want to cause that issue because I think that is
Okay.
that shouldn't be how that behaves, right? All right, so we got this to integrate. Cool, I got two. Awesome. So if I create a report, let's just go LNL. Look at that, already ready for me. I'm gonna create a new folder here. Test. And then if I do the create report raw source test. And then if I grab raw,
Maybe
right.
those weren't the steps. I'm still not.
And then I want to use the external database connection string. I see what you're saying. So then if you save.
Nope. So now if you add, so I've been playing around with a little bit more. So now add a field. You might have to scroll down in that far. Maybe this will do it. Now go back to your raw data step. There it is.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah. Okay.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's very strange. I would say that's a bug. If we can, Will and Robert, if we could get that reported and sent, because it shouldn't behave that way. We have to save it. If you pick external database, it should pop up with that menu where you can pick it.
Yeah. I think it was adding a field that at least on mine, but there were some steps you had to take before you get that external database pick option.
Oh, really? That's odd.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I'll keep messing around with this, Jared. I thank you for your help.
Yeah, my pleasure.
That was great. Appreciate that.
Sure. Alrighty. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna switch back to my local. Let's log out of this guy. Let's see. So now we had 0. I created a database query for external database, but my return results say I only have 100 results, but there's 3 age code. Is there a setting to get all the rest? Second question. I want to update the query data. Is the update any of the step option to use? I'm gonna allow you to talk, Daryl. So you created a database query, and
So
yeah.
very similar to the last conversation. So I created a query to inside the database integrations folder to query a table, pull back all the results. The results say I pull back 100 or 100, but it's like 300,000 in it. So I wanted to know, because I used the select all statement and it's not getting all the row. It's just saying it selected 100. And I don't have any filters on that select all statement. So I just wanted to know, is there a setting I need to change where I can get all 300,000 rows?
Oh, 300,000. Fetch it all at once. That's gonna be a big call.
Yeah, so yeah, we have a the assurance app where we're basically pulling in IRS data, address data and stuff like that. So it's a big table we're querying.
Do you need so you need all 300,000? The reason why I'm asking it because you will have to think about performance, right? That's going to be a huge query to pull all 300,000 records to get that. Is there a certain filter that you can apply on it to get only a subset, or you actually need all 300,000?
Well, how I've built the flow today is that but originally and this is where we ran into capacity issues with importing and exporting. We're going this route because the table was just too large to import as a CSV. But ideally what I do is I fetch a row out of this table by zip code. So unless I reconfigure my flow where I'm basically filtering by zip code first in the query and then only pulling that row back, it's kind of me thinking out loud. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Say that one more time. I lost audio for a second.
Well, yeah, I said what I'm thinking is the only way I can narrow that down is from that table. The flow is built today with a data structure to pass in, fetch by zip code, and pull back a specific row. So what I would have to do is maybe add that to the query and say, whatever zip code is entered on the form, pass that, somehow get just that row in my SQL query, pull that row in, and then pass then I got to update the results because that's my second question. I want to be able to update a table. So what I have today, let me get started at the beginning. So what I have today is a flow where we're using fetch entity steps to basically pull data from CSVs. But the data for these two tables are too large. So we're now saying we're basically tying in a SQL query to get that data, and then updating the entity with that data. So maybe I could do a selective update. No.
You could do a selective update. Is this a decisions data type? But it sounds like you said external integration, so I presume not, right?
Yeah, so the data type that the entity I'm trying to update is in decisions. It's a decision, but I'm doing a SQL query outside of decisions to pull in basically that data. That makes sense.
I did not understand that. So you have it in decisions, so is the reason why we're not fetching it in decisions and you're querying it?
Oh, well, because so what happens is I have it in decisions, but the import would not allow all the rows to be imported. So you don't have all your data set. You only have some of the data set.
Oh, so I can tell you why. So here's what it is. So you have 300,000 records and you're trying to import what was it? So you're not doing the fetch way because you can't import all 300,000 records, right? Is that what?
Originally, yes. So originally we built this because I built it like 6 months ago. Originally we built it was a smaller table and we were going to do smaller data. Now this customer's like, hey, no, I have 300,000. I'm using IRS data. So the data was not matching. So basically, anytime I tried to import it, it was deleting rows. And I tried to import the CSV into
Was it only like 20,000 or something?
It was probably less than that. I think originally it was like 11,000, but even when I tried to do 11 or 15,000, whatever the number was, it was not importing all the data.
Yeah. So I
So we're trying
know.
to bypass that step and basically pull it directly from SQL and then update the same entity that I have the data in today.
Yeah, well, I think you're still going to have the same issue. The reason why is because there is a recursion limit on all flows except the default 20,000.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like you said, it worked when you had 11,000 or 15,000, but as soon as you went to 350,000 to import, basically when you hit the recursion limit, it's only going to return the 20,000. If you know you're going to have above that, that's where on that flow that imports, you have to set this to a higher limit.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah. And
So,
go ahead.
okay, I was going to go to the previous step was, so even though you do a query and you do a SQL query, so you go to integrations database, you query your database. It
Mhm.
says in my results return 100,
Mhm.
but it's more than 100 records in there. So that was my initial question. Is like, why am I only
Sure.
saying 100?
Not sure. Like so, for example, I mean, I can even test that out. So if I can create a query integration here. Go to user defined types. No. Integration, query integration. I'm just going to do the existing, right? And I'm going to say this is like query folder table, right?
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Which is the default folder table in decisions. And I can say select asterisk from entity. I think that's say folder. And then I can say run query, and this will take a while, right? So this limits the row, right? There's more than 100 in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if this is just for the test to load or what what it does. So let me add this. Click OK. Well, let's see if I can increase that limit and test that out. Let's just create a test flow stuff. That's what I want. So I go to my query, integration, database, local connection. Nope, I know where it is. I did the wrong database one, didn't I? I always do that. Did I? I think that was right. Connection strings. Nope.
Yeah, that was the right one. You go in.
It was the second one. Okay, I always forget. Local database. I just don't see a query folder table. I just can't read. That's my problem. So if I do this, so I'm saying get everything, and then I say I ignore this limit count, and then I should only get 100 is what I'm thinking. And I debug, and I think I only get 100, right? Oh no, I got them all. And I can prove that by going here. So yeah, I got all 1,841.
So even though it says 100, it is getting them all.
Yeah, if you debug it, and if that input or output data takes forever to load, then yeah.
Yeah,
Basically,
so yeah,
if it
that actually so that answers my question because every time I
Mhm.
debug and try to look at the input output, it crashes my decisions.
Yes, that's expected because it's 300,000.
Exactly. So all right, so I have all the data. Okay, so now the question is, well, you can help me here. So now that
Yeah.
you have this data, because I did the exact same step, let's
Uh-huh.
just say I have an entity already created that I would
Okay.
want to take this data from here and update that entity so that I don't want to have to reconfigure a bunch of steps down the line and flows. Because basically everything I built after this is like, go to this entity, use this entity data and pass it down.
Yeah, sure.
So I want to update that entity with like this data. So you would have another subflow, or you probably could do a fetch. Would you do well, I guess you're querying here. Could you do an update here? Would you do another flow and do a fetch and update?
So I guess what I would do, okay, I'm trying
Or is
to
there a
picture in my
better
head.
option? I
Go
guess
ahead.
that's another thing. That it could be a better option. Now that I have that data, because I did the exact same step you've done here. Now I need
Yeah.
to get that data inside of my big flow. And today I have it built to get that data from a data structure. So I was thinking trying to update a data structure.
Yeah, and then if you increase the limit, the file size limit or the recursion limit, then you can get
Yes.
all those entities and decisions, which I think would be the best route.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm saying that is I know that you might have to refactor some flows, but like when you're dealing with the 300,000 record mark, you really need to think about performance. And so anytime that you can filter it and just get a piece of that data, that's gonna, be very beneficial. Otherwise, what's gonna happen is if you fetch 300,000 records, then you go to another step in the process, and then you fetch that 300,000 records again, you're gonna have a huge performance hit, and it's gonna be miserable.
Yeah.
But if we can chunk the data out and just say, hey, like I don't know, maybe the insurance, I only need people who let's say, I don't know, I live in Florida. Let's say if I lived in Florida, I only need to get the insurance policies for people in Florida. So maybe that limits the data by 200,000, right? And then I could say only by the county of Leon County. And then that would be a better subset to filter through because then you're not, sending in 300,000 records in it.
Okay. So even if you're right, even if I fetch that data, so if I update that data one time, so I fetch the 300,000 using this query, I update the entity with that record, and then I'm just passing the output of that entity down the line. It's still going to slow it down a little.
Yeah, the first fetch is going to be the slowdown. Once you get that one record, then it's not going to hurt it too bad. But now it's loading all those 300,000 records into like the process when maybe you don't need all 300,000. You just need like one, right?
Yeah. Because basically, I need one record out of there, and I need it to fetch by zip code. So maybe it's a way where I could filter the SQL query to say, well, I won't know the zip code, so it's going to have to be inputted on a form. That zip code comes on a form, and then I got to somehow build into the flow, take that zip code into the SQL query as a filter and only pull back that record for that zip code.
Yeah, so if you just needed that zip code, so probably what you would do is, because I'm assuming you have 300,000 zip codes, or is that a smaller number? Because it might be a smaller number.
Yeah, it's basically every zip code equals a record, so 300,000.
Okay, because then I think what you can do is if you can shorten the column where you just get the zip code, and then you can pass it in, that will be better because you're not going through everything. And then I think you should probably talk with let's see. I know we probably should know this. We host you, right? Or are you okay, cool.
Yes, host us.
Okay, perfect. So because then what I would do is I would reach out to support and our ops team, and you should have a conversation with them about indexing the table. I know that since we host, we'd probably have to set that up for you. But that's when you're dealing with this amount of records, you'll want to think about, okay, I know I'm going to filter by the zip. I might need to index that table. So when I do fetch, it'll be more performant and better. But they have a lot of stuff that if you reach out to them, they can walk you through that setup and give you the best recommendation of reading. But that's the thing you gotta be careful of.
All right, that makes sense. Yeah, everything you said makes sense. I was doing the exact same thing. Cool. I just need to, and then you said that the update entity, I need to basically, once I query, I need to add a step to update the entity.
And what?
To use that data.
Yeah. What data structure are you using?
I think I'll just stay simple. Actually, let me just go. Let me not make something up. Let me just tell you. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
I'm sorry, get to the right screen. Oh man, it just kicked me out. Give me a second. I will go
no worries.
I am using a profit. No, common reading logic. The type of data structure is a simple data structure.
Simple data structure. So yeah, okay, so it's database structure. Yeah. So what I would do is I just use the selective update. Step for it. And there's also, I think there's some modifications. If I go to my database structure, where is it? Oops, this one right here. I want to manage, open containing folder. I think there is. I'm trying to think of enable caching, include flow and cache key. Yeah, ask support. I know that there is I'm blanking on it, but there's a setting here in your data structure that you can configure for when you're dealing with heavy loads, like where we're at right now. I just forgot what the change is, but they would know. So I just reached out to them. The person that you'd want to talk to, request to talk to Thad Roebuck or Sean Hall. Those are the two support people that are that would be good for this type of issue to help you with for performance of large data.
Okay, perfect. Yep. I'm gonna jot those names down. Thad Roebuck.
I put it in the chat. I put it in the chat for you.
Oh, perfect. Thanks a lot. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I will grab that from the chat right now. Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right, Shan. All right, I have two questions. In the step get row, I can't load the first row, which contains the editor information. if the step string contains, if search quotes in the row, I get the previous step. It keeps saying there is no this plain text. I'll set you up for, let me allow you to talk so I can understand the context of what you're trying to do. Go ahead, Chan.
Hello. Just try to implement a small function. I want to take the first row of the CSV file. Then I can understand what the delimited is they're using. This whole file is using, whether they have the actual quote at the beginning and the end. But I used the get row first for row 1. It didn't go to the first row. They always start at the second one, no matter I click the ignore the first row or not.
Oops, that's not what I wanted to call it. So is there a reason why we're using the get row step?
Oh, I just want to use the first row. First.
Just the first row of data?
Yeah.
So what you could do, if you just have the first row of data that you want to grab from that imports, you can use the for each Excel.
Okay.
Where is it? For each Excel CSV row. And if you only want the first row of data, right? So this is the done path, but you can, you know, if there's only one, so let me, I have one. I think I have a CSV file we can use. So right, what this does is it kind of just, you know, for the next row, it outputs a current row data, which displays all of that row data that you can utilize. Let me go to my downloads and then I can pull a CSV. Yeah, there we go. All right. Oops, that's not what I want. Constant. Let me see if I can drag this here. Boom. Right.
Wow.
And then if I do a create data, this is just a test, but what this allows me to do is, let's say I want to display, I don't know, field 1. And so what this allows me to do is I can select from flow, grab the current data. And since it doesn't know what the data type of that Excel field is, but I can grab the text value if that's what I want. And then what it will do is for all the rows that I have inside of it, it will grab that specific one. And I'll set it as auto select so it's not yelling at me. Oh, that's right. I can't use constant for this. I got to set up an input data. So let me do input file data. And then I'll set this as a constant. I'm just setting this just so that I can have some data to pass to it.
Okay.
But you can get that sheet or get some, you know, what other CSV in any other, you know, way as well. This just needs to be a select from flow. And then you can even get the certain worksheet number. But if I debug this, right? Oops, I didn't. Oh, yeah, it worked. So I have, right, 3,000 rows. And if I look at the input of it, right, I have for the title of it, if I go to the second, I have, right, data from that CSV that I can utilize. So that'd be the best way to grab data. And if you only want the first, you know, row, and that's it, all you have to do is you don't loop back the create data step to the for each Excel CSV. You can just connect this to the rest of your process. And then just say, let's say show form, right? Let's say I want to display this data on a form for whatever reason. And I can say this is this, you know, data form, text box, button. And I say this is text. Right. Boom. So now this type of logic will only show me the first row. So if I select current row and I want field 1 and I want the text value of that, then when I debug this, it will just grab the first row, boom, and display it on a form or anywhere I need.
Okay.
So that would be the design that I would recommend.
Okay. I will try this. So after for each row, then next row going to the create data steps.
Yeah. And this create data step, like I'm not this, you don't need this create data step. I'm just using this to show like how you'd map data to another step. So this could be a subflow, this could be the next
Okay.
part of your process. The main one that you want to take away, that you want to utilize, is just this one right here. Everything else
Okay.
is just illustrative.
Okay. So after you take this first, after you get the data output,
Mhm.
like now at the moment you put it into the grid data
Mhm.
one, and after that I want to do to check whether there is a quote in the first row,
Okay.
especially in the beginning and end. So I use the steps. It's called string contains.
Okay. Sure. Mhm. Yep. I got it. String contains.
Okay. So contain text is a quote, that's double quote.
Containing text is a double quote.
Yeah. No, just one.
Okay.
Then the source file is coming from the first row.
Okay. And I'm assuming this is probably false, true. Doesn't matter. Okay. What are you trying to check?
Because if they have the quote at the beginning and the end, I need to remove it. Otherwise, when I loading it, they take the whole thing as one column instead of.
The whole thing is one column. I see. Okay, so let's do this. I think I understand your setup. So what you have here is, let's say this is test, test spreadsheet, right? And I have, let's say this is going to be my data. That's going to be my column name, right? Unless I have test 12 quotation test, right? And let's say I have test this way without the ending quote, right? So this is kind of like what you're dealing with, like you're trying to check this.
No. There is I have for example, I have a 3 column.
Sure. Okay. It's 3 columns. Okay.
That you save them as a CSV file.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, then open them using the notepad.
Okay.
Open this CSV with the notepad.
File open. Download.
Okay, put the quote at the beginning and end
Mm-hmm.
for the first row.
So are you just trying to clean up this data so it doesn't have the quote?
No, it's due to some the user operation when they save the file from save the CSV file. When they save it, the whatever they're using something, the automatic operation automatically add the quote at the beginning and end for each row, every row.
Mm-hmm. Understood. Got it. I'm with you. So you want to remove that? You want to just clean that up?
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Well, we can do that as well. So let me fix this data. So we just got data here. Let's see. So here's the thing. I'm not sure, and maybe I could be wrong on this. Let's test this out. I think decisions will take care of that cleaning for you. But let's just test to make sure. So test 4, 5, 6. Test this stuff. Right. I'm just gonna use one column of data just for simplicity.
No, at least you need to have 2.
I need to have 2. Okay. Roger that. I need to have 2. I will have 2. C1, and then we'll say this is test 2, this is test 5, and this is test 6, and this is test 7, and this is test whatever. Here you go. Cool. So now I'm going to download this CSV. So now we have the test separate sheet 1. And then just to confirm, I'm going to open it up in Notepad++ again. And we are going to remove that one and we shall open. We're going to go back to downloads. We're going to open this one. So yeah, so I'm not getting the quotes here.
We are not very sure why the
quotes are adding. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use my other test case then, as an example, because I think that one had the quotes in it. But if you can check to see
do you want me to send a sample file to you?
does it contain any like personal data or is it just test data?
Test data.
Perfect. Yeah, you can send it to me. I'll type in my email in the chat. And let's see, jared@decisions.com. Boom. My email's in the chat. If you email it to me, the test data, then I will run it through the process and I'll show you how I'd resolve it. There's a couple ways we can do it.
Okay. Yeah, I sent it over.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna refresh. I'm gonna take a little bit to fly over the wire. Hey, got it. Alrighty, so that's a cool. I'm downloading it. All right, so I got your file. So I'm going to edit this and we're going to change it from mine to yours. And just so that we can see it, I'm going to look at it in Notepad just so we can make sure that we got that issue's happening. So go here. Oops, I didn't want that. Go. Open. We're going to get downloads. Alrighty. Okay, cool. So we got that. I see. Okay, cool. Test data. And so now I got it there, done. And so now we just got to check to see if that row has it, right? What do you want to do after? You just want to remove it? That's it?
Yeah, just remove the quote at the beginning and end.
Okay, we can just say strip characters. There's a step called strip characters. And we'll say this is to true, right? And then false, we'll just end and then strip characters just so we can illustrate. And so we can say case sensitive, false. The input is going to be the current row. Let's say it's field 1 for right now. This could be all the fields. We'll say it's field 1. And then we'll go to the characters strip, and then we'll say the quotation, and then we go back here. So that one didn't have any. Let's go ahead. I'm going to attach this to the end step, or to loop back so we can actually find one that actually.
Actually, the first one is.
So it says false, false. So it says it's none of them are. The source is this containing text. Did I do both of them or one? So it's only one. Start debugging. Because if I select from flow, I think decisions may remove it. Maybe we don't have to worry about it. Let's test that out. So if I display this text, right, and I go data.
We did load it, then they load it as one column only.
Correct. We did only load one column. Current field, text. And then we run this. Input. So I see that, I mean, obviously these quotes are now just the JSON quotes for the name value pairs. So that's why we got quotes here.
No, I think actually, I think the decision is got confused. This quote actually is from that file, from the first row, or whatever the row it is.
Okay.
But decisions think it is just because of any string they have that, so that when they are searching for a quote, they ignore the first and the end quote. Did I make myself
I
clear?
didn't, I'll be honest, I didn't understand that. So like, because I guess the thing that I'm struggling
If
to
I search
understand.
anything, if I search
Mhm.
any other character, it's fine. But the
Mhm.
quote is very tricky because we use a quote to indicate it is a string.
Right. That's
So that
right. So yeah, and that part I understand. So if I grab here and I grab this, and let's say I just add a form just to display it as text. And current row text values. Text value. I just get I don't think I have quotes for any of that. Right? Does that make sense? At least, so that's why I'm a little confused, because I know if I show the form here, I don't have that
Yeah.
data displayed. And let's do raw. Maybe it's because I'm saying text value. Let's do raw. See what happens. And so in home, and I don't see any quotes for that row. So yeah, so that's what I'm not sure what we're trying to remove, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but if they are for this kind of steps, they can't detect the quote. But when we go into the using the import Excel or CSV file by column name, that steps they will take everything as a whole column. Even we tell the delimiter is a column, is common or tab, whatever. They don't look in the inside. They see the quote at the beginning and the end. They take the whole thing as one column.
This step is what you're using?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say import raw lines. Let me see if I can. So what I'd do is I think we probably just I think if we have access to your actual use case, I would say like we can submit a support ticket on your behalf, and a support technician could help troubleshoot this. Ignore quotes. This ignore quotes, do not treat as escaped. Is that the functionality we're trying to do, or is that not?
No, that doesn't work. That is for sometimes the escape they use double quote.
Yeah.
So you need to remove the quote. That is
Sure. Yeah. Here's the.
So
Let's see. Oh, go ahead.
it's different from the current situation.
Okay, I gotcha. Different from the current situation. Okay, so obviously I'm not really sure what this one is. What I would say is let's we can submit a support ticket on your behalf. We can have someone just share a screen with you and kind of see the actual issue, because I'm really not familiar with this.
Okay.
And so probably just better if we just submit a support ticket on your behalf. Could you put your email in the chat? Or actually, no, we got it. I got your email. So yeah, we'll submit a support ticket on your behalf, and they can take a look and help you out.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. Sorry I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, not at the moment.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
My pleasure. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you guys next time.